Hello guys and welcome to my new video. So today we are covering the latest changes that are going to be introduced in the next couple of days in this reset. There is few buffs and few nerfs, and affliction warlocks are being nerfed. Wow, what a big surprise. I mean, if you're a warlock main, you never want to be nerfed. If you main any class that's going to be nerfed, there's nothing that I can say that's going to make you happy or, you know, be happy about this change. Oh wow, my class is gonna be balanced now. That's kind of, you know, great. I know what you're going through. The changes, there's quite a few nerfs. I went through the warlock discourse and things like that. People are memeing about re-rolling, playing elemental shamans because they're so strong right now. But this change, like, first of all, affliction, corruption and agony, damage reduced by 6%. I mean, it's not a crazy end of the world nerf. At the end of the day, if you actually look at Warcraft logs, if you actually look at the Warcraft logs for Mythic, Heroic, and Taurus, you'll notice that Affliction Warlocks are like the top by quite a bit. And that's to do because Affliction Warlocks were doing good single target, and they were doing insane AoE, insane multi-dotting potential, and there were a lot of fights on Taurus that are good for that. So Affliction Warlock damage has been somewhat nerfed. This is not going to make Affliction Warlocks terrible. This is not going to be... There's no need to go and boycott Blizzard offices and say that you're going to unsub and things like that. There is really no need. Affliction Warlocks are still going to be one of the best classes in the game. But besides the damage nerf that happened, there's also the healing nerf from Drain Soul that's been quite substantially nerfed actually. And it's kind of weird change if you really think about it. I mean, like, Blizzard just nerfed it now, even though Affliction Warlocks would kind of had the crazy self-sustain for like for long periods of time during the expansion, and all of a sudden, I'm pretty sure Ion was like, you know, watching the video with the 4 Affliction Warlocks and 1 Blood Decay, soloing like 22, 23, 24 mythics, or not soloing, but like, you know, without a healer. And Ion was like, I didn't know Warlocks can do that. I didn't know Affliction Warlocks can do that, and it got nerfed. So we all have to blame the guy who did those videos. So it's all his fault for nerfing self-healing. So thank you so much for that. But either way, even this nerf, it's still going to make Affliction Warlocks as one of the best self-sustain healers in the game. It's not going to be as overpowered as before. Like previously, you'll notice that Affliction Warlocks were really strong in Mythic Plus content because a lot of the teams would actually make an Affliction Warlock to soak specific debuffs, because even if they have to soak specific debuffs, they can do a crazy self-sustain and they don't have to be healed, and the healer can go DPS instead, so that's more damage and things like that. So they were making, you know, full use of the crazy self-sustain of Affliction Warlock. So that's going to change a little. Like, I'm actually not sure how big that's going to change, how much that's going to change. It seems to be quite a substantial nerf, from the insane sustain to probably still one of the best sustains in the game. That's what we're looking at right now. And this nerf was kind of foreseen by the... Like, you saw Ion has enough... Ion mentioning in the latest WoW Dev Q&A something about Affliction Warlock.
The perceived top spec.
It's the perceived top spec. Let's call them Affliction Warlock, just as a shorthand.
Sometimes
you just have a lot of survivability and a lot of offensive tools and a lot of multi-dotting and a lot of single target
and all the damage. Yeah,
but no king rules forever.
Oh dear. All right, next question. that got terrifying there for a second. Very ominous.
So I don't think there is reasons to panic. Affliction Warlocks are still going to be one of the best classes in the game. Self-sustain is nerfed. It's still going to make them as one of the best self-sustained healers in the game as well. So, to think of the fact that I was about to boost an Affliction Warlock, money saved. Money saved. Either way, don't re-roll. Affliction Warlocks are still going to be doing really well. Like I said, if you're Affliction Warlock main, there's nothing that I can say that's going to make you feel better. Because I know when your main class gets nerfed, there is no way to make me feel better. But let's move on to different changes. So Beast Mastery. Beast Mastery, all damage is increased by 2.5%. Well needed change. A well needed change. Beast Mastery, if you look at the logs again, is one of the worst DPS specs in the game right now. And even though Beastmastery can be considered like one of the most mobile specs in the game. It can be considered as one of those specs that does not require or rely on specific legendaries to do a lot of damage. It was still, for the longest time, for hunters, if you wanted to be a raiding hunter, you would go marksmanship and you would not look to other specs. Maybe you'll go survival if you can play survival, but people would look weird at you. They'll be like, he's survival hunter. Let's not invite him because I don't think he'll play well, because there's so few survival hunters and there's so few good survival hunters. The survival hunters became like a kind of a meme. But Beastmaster, I'm really happy to see this change because they needed a damage increase, and the tier 21 4 set now causes kill command to reduce the cooldown of Aspect of the Wild by 3 seconds instead of 2.5. So they also buffed tier 21, which is also quite good. But if you play a Beastmastery hunter, you'll know that itemization is kind of all over the place. Tier 19 is great, tier 20 is good, tier 21 can be decent depending on item level. So you, like, depending on the Titan Forges that you had, you could be running with like the weirdest set in the game, and you would have to always sim yourself to find the best combination, because like I said, tier 19 is still very good and things like that. So with this change, and probably with the availability of Titan Forge items or higher item level gear that you get it on Taurus, you'll probably be running tier 21 4 set. You'll probably see an increase in DPS. Your damage is going to be increased as well, so all welcome changes. Beastmastery hopefully is coming back as one of the raiding specs for hunters, a more reliable raiding spec. Because I've seen some mythic high-end kills where Beastmaster Hunter was present, but not as much as I would like to. So let's move on to the quite a weird change. So fire mages, all damage is increased by 3%. So this is a little weird change. And why do I say it's a weird change? First of all, fire mages, like, I mean, fire is not the best single target spec for a mage. Frost was always reliably, you could reliably say the Frost is the single target spec, because Frost AoE is quite poor when you compare it to Arcane on fire. There's actually a lot of mages, especially in Mythic, that are going with the Arcane spec right now because of the crazy AoE. But with this increase to fire, first of all, fire is behind, in terms of single target, behind Frost. But not by that much. Like, you can see it on fights like matches and things like that. It's not that big of a change. Like on fights on Garrote, they're actually very similar in terms of single target DPS. But the AoE of fire is way above Frost. And the same with Arcane. Arcane's AoE is way above Frost as well. But what does this mean? It basically kind of means that if you don't have the, you know, artifact power to spend, or you just boosted your mage and you're wondering which spec should I go, you might be thinking about like fire or Arcane, like more fire if you really think about it, because fire will be doing good single target and good AoE. And if you don't have the artifact points to spend or power to spend, you don't want to focus on Frost, which is basically purely a single target DPS spec, and then go on to AoE fight and you're like, okay, I'm Frost, I'm gonna be bottom of the meters. So it's kind of weird to see fire being buffed, which few people, or might a lot of people, will say that it pushes fire towards the mage spec in on Taurus. But we'll have to see how it turns out. Maybe there's going to be more changes made. Maybe there's going to be more buffs, more nerfs coming in the next couple of days. Overall, I wanted mages to be buffed, because mages were simming quite low in a lot of the fights. On few fights they were doing well, but overall, like, you know, mages were not really comparable to where the Affliction Warlocks, or Warlocks in general, were standing in the logs and things like that. But overall, don't be too upset about the Affliction Warlock nerfs. They're not too crazy. Affliction Warlocks in general are still going to be very, very strong. Beastmastery buffs pretty good. Fire Mage buffs pretty good. And it's funny to see that there's no Windwalker nerfs as well. So the Windwalkers, like I mentioned in previous videos, you can see at logs as well. Windwalkers are like the second best DPS spec. That's kind of like, you know, a bit above everyone else, like a tiny bit above everyone else. And I'm not surprised that Blizzard didn't make any changes to Windwalkers, because Windwalkers were considered as one of the worst specs for Tomb of Sargeras. And right now they're becoming better. And if Blizzard would nerf Windwalkers, I know the Windwalker community would just freak out, unsub instantly, and there'll be, like, you know, 200 less people in the game right now. But I'm not surprised not to see Windwalkers not getting nerfed. because I feel Windwalkers should have their, you know, time in the sun as well. Let me know how you feel about these changes. Let me know if you're re-rolling to elemental shaman instead of affliction warlock. Let me know how you feel about your beast mastery hunter. Let me know how you feel about the mage specs in on Taurus after these changes, and I'll see you in my next video.